Keith Grienke here from Top of My News with Sam Stout, getting ready for his UFC 161 bout with Isaac Valley Flag. Great to see you.
Thank you.
So before we get into UFC 161, why don't we talk us through your last fight against Koros Fedor? Talk about that fight and getting the split decision win.
It was a tough fight. Karos came out with, it was his first fight in the UFC, looking to prove himself. They put him against me. It was my 15th fight in the UFC, so that's a lot of pressure for a new guy, and he came and brought it. I was exhausted by the end of the fight. He wanted to work out of that clinch. Luckily, I was able to keep his back against the defense for most of the time, kind of control where the clinch was taking place. But hit me with some good knees to the body, hit me with some good shots. But luckily I came out with the win.
We've seen a different Sam Stout lately. Since the Spencer Fisher fight, we've seen takedowns added to the game. What's this all about? You just trying to become more complete, trying to change it up a bit, surprise them?
I know everyone likes to watch me go out there and stand and trade, but sometimes you get into those fights and it's may not be the smartest way to get the win. And I like putting on exciting fights, but I like winning even more. So if I got to take somebody down to steal a round, or if I if in the future if I feel like taking a guy down and fighting him on the ground the whole time is the best way to win, that's what I'm going to do. It's I'm getting a little older, and I'm at the point in my career where I really got to be thinking about L's and W's, and that's what I've been trying to do lately.
And I think it's been about 7 years since your last submission, your only submission win against Jay Estrada.
Yeah.
Any chance we're going to see that again from
I work on my submissions all the time. I'm in here. I come in and roll every day. So it's not to say that I can't, but it's just I just don't. It's been so long a fight standing on my feet that it's still kind of I really have to kind of force myself to take people down if I'm still kind of doing it in a strategic way to kind of win rounds. But you can definitely. I'd love to get another submission.
It's funny because submission guys would always love to get that KO, TKO, and you're just a guy who just, be kind of neat to get a sub. Yeah. So, June 15th in Winnipeg, you're taking on Isaac Valley Flag. What do you know about him, and what are you expecting?
Well, I know he's one of Greg Jackson's guys, so, he's going to come in with a good game plan. He's going to be in shape. He's not going to come unprepared. And, I've watched some of his fights, and he's tough. He's on a 12-fight unbeaten streak, so regardless of whether or not that's in the UFC or Strikeforce or some of the smaller shows where a lot of those wins actually took place, it's impressive nonetheless. And to have gone 12 fights without losing in MMA, so I expect to have my hands full on the 15th of June. Yeah,
it's kind of like the second time in a row. You're not welcoming a Strikeforce fighter this time into the UFC, but it's another Strikeforce fighter that you're facing. Is that kind of your role, welcoming these guys, taking them on, or
that's just kind of who I've gotten matched up with. It's he just beat Eves. I had beaten Eves. We're both coming off wins. I don't know. I guess it just made sense for them. Maybe there was something stylistically they liked about the matchup. But whatever. They just tell me who to fight, and I just get in there and fight them.
Yeah, and I think you both have wins against Eves Edwards as well.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
You talk about fighting for your career. When you talk about takedowns and stuff like that, decisions are a hallmark of your UFC career, anyways.
Yeah.
Is that something else you're trying to avoid?
Yeah, if it were up to me, I'd finish every fight. But guys don't make it to the UFC because they're easy to finish. There's it's kind of something that's decisions have kind of plagued me through my career in the UFC, except for that Eve Edwards fight, but. Like I said, it's all about L's and W's. It's not about knockouts and submissions.
Yeah, and you get the fight of the nights as well with those 15-minute fights
I got a couple of those.
Yeah, a couple. I think like 5 or 6. Don't be humble. Before we let you go, Sam, anybody you'd like to thank? Family, friends, sponsors?
All the guys, all my my training team here at Adrenaline Training Center. Most of my training's been happening here. For the whole last camp took place here. Those are the guys who I got to thank for that win. They were in here every day, even though they're all got, a lot of these guys are fighting based out of Ontario, and they're having a really hard time finding fights right now because all these shows are having a really hard time putting on an event because it's so expensive here. But they were still in there every day grinding it out with me, helping me get ready. So Chad Laprise, Jesse Ronson, Chris Hordeski, Malcolm Gordon, Jesse Gross, Hominick was in here. All those guys are the guys who helped me make that last win happen.
Yeah, and one last question. You're approaching 40 fights. How much longer are we going to see Sam Stout in the cage?
I've been doing it. I know I'm only 20, turning 29 in a few weeks, but it may not seem that old, but I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
I started kickboxing at 16. Started fighting in the UFC at 21, and I've had a lot of fights. So we'll see. I'm gonna keep doing it as long as my body lets me, as long as I'm I'm keeping up with the guys in the UFC, and I'll do it for as long as I can.
All right, this is Keith Grienke from Top Me News. Sam Stout, thank you for your time.
Thank you.